Welcome back to the program. In the southeastern part of the Central African Republic, communities are struggling to receive government services or supplies as infrastructure remains non-existent following years of conflicts. The country has been in conflict since 2013 when main Muslim rebels ousted former president, prompting reprisals from mostly Christian militias. Thousands of people have died because of the unrest in the diamond and gold-producing country, and 1 in 5 of its 4.5 million population have fled their homes.
For civilians like Marina who need life-saving drugs, the conflict has made their lives even more complicated. Marina has been living with HIV since 2010. 2 months ago, she returned to the country after fleeing the conflict, despite the insecurity and inaccessible treatment.
Before, I was very strong and healthy with the treatment. Due to violence, I had to flee to DRC. We did not have anything to eat. It was very hard. I could not take my pills. That's when I got sick again. The viral load became very high.
Due to the isolation and population displacement, the Hart Mbomo region, where Zambia is located, has the highest HIV prevalence in the Central African Republic. Fiaka is a representative of a community group that supports residents here by helping them get their medication. The initiative was set up in 2016 by medical charity Médecins Sans Frontières to bring together people living with HIV who can support one another.
The nurses came to check my viral load. I am now undetectable.
According to the United Nations, about 470,000 people living with HIV in Africa still die every year because they cannot or do not get tested and gain access to treatment.
In South Sudan's western equatorial town of Yambo, children are celebrating the 30th anniversary of the Convention on the Rights of the Child. In a country where child marriage is a common thing, the day's theme, End Child Marriage, resonates with what these children want. Take a look.
Children marching, dancing and performing drama skits and poems as they demand better protection of their rights on the 30th anniversary of the Convention on the Rights of the Child. Like this 14-year-old who aspires to be a gynecologist, she wants a country where child marriage is completely eradicated and children have access to education, food and shelter.
I'm telling my brothers and sisters, our rights, let us value our rights, let's not misuse our rights. And our parents, don't deny children their rights, especially the right to medication, food and shelter.
At the event, the United Nations representative reinforced the message of protection of children and conveyed their commitment to ensuring they enjoy their rights.
The UN family and our humanitarian and development partners stand ready and are always committed to supporting South Sudan in achieving a just, sustainable and inclusive peace. This must include justice and protection for children, provision of their needs, and the full enforcement and implementation of their rights.
The local authorities say they understand just too well what abuses the children of this region endure, and they are demanding an end to all of that.
As I'm talking right now, a young child is being raped by a man who is the age of her father. As I'm talking, many of them cannot go to school, and what will the tomorrow be for that nation? As I'm talking, many children, especially girls, are suffering from what they call their mothers or their stepmothers. And time has come for us, the people of Good State, to put that to an end.
According to the UN Children's Agency UNICEF, with 52% of girls being married off before their 18th birthday, South Sudan has the 7th highest prevalence rate of child marriage in the world.
Ghanaian President Nana Akufo-Addo has cancelled a referendum and changing the rules around local government elections less than 3 weeks before the vote is intended to take place. Currently, candidates stand as individuals and it is against the rules for them to be backed by political parties. The referendum had been set for 17th December and was to decide whether that rule will be scrapped, allowing parties to openly back their candidates. But in a televised presidential address, the president said he was cancelling the referendum as there was a lack of consensus between the ruling and the opposition parties. Let's get more on this story from a Ghanaian journalist, Malik Dabu. Malik is the head of the political desk of joyonline.com. Thank you for joining us on the program. Help us understand what this cancellation means for the upcoming local elections.
Well, what it simply means is that the referendum, as was scheduled to take place on December 17th, that's a few weeks from now, which would have allowed political parties to sponsor candidates to participate in local level elections, would no longer happen. There are contestations as to whether the president has power to do what he did yesterday by cancelling the referendum. What the president announced yesterday was that he had asked his local government minister, who laid 2 bills before Parliament, to allow this referendum to happen, but also to amend a particular portion of the Constitution to allow the election of metropolitan, municipal, and district chief executives, that those 2 bills would now be withdrawn from Parliament. Now, the first one, which related to the referendum, when it was laid, the Constitution requires that there should be 6-month period when this bill is gazetted. After the bill is gazetted, it should be laid before Parliament. The Electoral Commission, which is the election governing body of Ghana, will issue a document which will also be laid before Parliament saying that this referendum is going to happen. This laborious process is because the particular constitutional provision which is being amended is an entrenched provision. The Ghana's constitution has 2 provisions, those which are entrenched provisions and those which are not entrenched provisions. The entrenched provisions require a referendum to amend. The non-entrenched provisions are those which Parliament can amend. The particular provision is Article 55(3). That is an entrenched provision, which is the reason why this referendum was being called, to amend it essentially to say, from now onwards, political parties can sponsor candidates to participate in assembly elections. But now the president says that because the main opposition party, the National Democratic Congress, and some civil society organizations and notable prominent lawyers have all said that they are against this provision and that they will vote no, it is on the basis of that the president is saying there is no consensus and therefore his minister should withdraw the bills from Parliament. The pain is that the other bill which relates to the metropolitan, municipal, and assembly elections, that one is not entrenched. That one didn't require any referendum. But the president now says that that one too should be withdrawn. That means Ghanaians who have been long waiting to be given the opportunity to vote to select their metropolitan and municipal chief executive will no longer have that opportunity.
Okay, thank you very much, Ghanaian journalist Malik Dabu. Thank you for joining us on the program. Well, that's it on Network Africa. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Layo Adegoke.